Hello, my name is Sechup. I'm standing on the outskirts of a Belarusian city in front of what was meant to be something. A factory, a monument, a promise of a future that, for whatever reason, never quite arrived. There's a peculiar sort of melancholy to places like this. They're not ancient ruins, weathered by centuries of history. They're modern ruins, monuments to more recent dreams that have curdled. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How does a plan so grand, so expensive end up like this? A concrete skeleton picked clean by the wind. This landscape of forgotten ambition isn't unique. Across the country you can find these strange, silent testimonials to grand designs. Belarus has invested heavily in ambitious development plans, but some projects turned into costly failures. From vast industrial complexes that never produced a single item to entire residential districts standing empty, these projects tell a story. It's a story about economics, politics, and perhaps a touch of human hubris. It's a story of what happens when the blueprint for the future gets lost somewhere between the drawing board and reality. So, I wanted to try and understand it a little better. To peel back the layers of concrete and bureaucracy and see what lies beneath. I'll be exploring some of the most striking examples of these stalled and abandoned projects, speaking to people who remember the initial excitement and trying to piece together the puzzle of how so much effort and money could lead to, well, to this. It's a journey into a world of what-ifs and might-have-beens. A tour through the strangely compelling and slightly weird world of Belarus's most pointless construction projects. There's a certain sound to a working factory, a rhythm, the hum of machinery, the clang of metal, the distant shouts of people with a purpose. Here, though, the only sound is the wind whistling through broken panes of glass and the crunch of my own feet on the debris-strewn floor. This was supposed to be a state-of-the-art textile plant, a jewel in the crown of regional industry. The looms were ordered, the staff were being trained. But the ribbon was never cut, and the machines never hummed. It stands now as a silent cathedral to industry that never was. You see, in the post-Soviet era, there was a great push to modernize and maintain Belarus's industrial base. It was a matter of national pride and economic strategy. The idea was to build new facilities, create jobs, and compete on a global scale. The intentions, on paper at least, seemed sound. You can almost feel the optimism baked into the concrete walls around me. This wasn't just about making fabric, it was about weaving a new national identity, one of strength and self-sufficiency. It's a powerful idea, and one that's easy to get behind. I found some of the original architectural drawings online. They're beautiful, in a functional sort of way. Clean lines, logical layouts, renderings of smiling workers moving purposefully through bright, airy halls. Comparing those images to the reality around me is a jarring experience. The dream is so clean, so orderly. The reality is decay, rust, and the slow, inevitable creep of nature reclaiming its territory. A sapling is pushing its way through a crack in the concrete floor over there. It's a testament to life, I suppose, but also a stark symbol of failure. So what happened? In this case, the story is a familiar one. The global markets shifted. The price of raw materials skyrocketed, and the projected cost of production became untenable before the first spool of thread was ever spun. The foreign partner, who was providing a significant chunk of the investment and the technology, pulled out. Suddenly, the numbers just didn't add up. The project was put on temporary hold, a word that in this context often means permanent. It's a pragmatic decision, perhaps, but it leaves behind a very expensive, very large reminder of the miscalculation. Walking through these empty halls, I can't help but think of the people. The construction workers who poured this concrete and raised these steel beams, the administrative staff who ordered the stationery, the future employees who were promised stable, skilled jobs. A project like this isn't just an economic entity, it's a collection of individual hopes and plans. When the project dies, those smaller, more personal dreams often die with it. It's a human cost that doesn't always appear on the official balance sheets. I spoke to a man named Victor, who was slated to be a shift supervisor here. He described the training sessions, the excitement, the feeling that they were all part of something new and important. He speaks about it now with a kind of resigned shrug, but his eyes tell a different story. It's a story of disappointment, of a future he had planned for his family that simply evaporated. He works as a taxi driver now. The factory is just a big, ugly ghost, he told me. It reminds us of what we were supposed to be. This isn't an isolated case. Drive an hour in another direction, and you'll find the bones of what was meant to be a wood processing plant. The story is slightly different, a dispute over land rights, alleged corruption, but the result is the same. A massive multi-million-dollar investment that produces nothing but rust and regret. Each silent factory has its own specific tale of woe, its own unique cocktail of poor planning, bad luck, and political maneuvering that led to its demise. They are monuments to a specific kind of failure. And so, they stand. Too big to ignore, too expensive to tear down, and too specialized to easily repurpose. They are caught in a strange limbo, no longer part of the future, and not yet part of the past. They are simply there. A constant, nagging question mark on the landscape. As I stand here, I feel less like I'm in a failed building, and more like I'm inside the question itself. Why, how, and what, if anything, comes next? The silence doesn't offer any answers. There's a strange sterility to a place that was built for people but has never known them. This is, for all intents and purposes, a brand new residential district. The paint is fresh, the sidewalks are pristine, the playgrounds are untouched. But there are no children playing, no curtains in the windows, no signs of life whatsoever. It feels like a film set for a post-apocalyptic movie, only the apocalypse was apparently a failure of municipal planning. It's profoundly, deeply unsettling. This isn't abandonment. It's a place that was stillborn. The plan was ambitious, and on the surface, logical. The nearby city was growing, and there was a declared need for modern, affordable housing. So the state designated this land, a few kilometers outside the city limits, for a massive new development. Thousands of apartments, complete with schools, clinics, and shops. It was designed to be a self-contained community, a perfect suburb for a new generation of Belarusian families. The promotional materials showed happy couples pushing strollers along these very streets. I'm walking past what was designed to be the central shopping complex. The glass is still covered in the manufacturer's protective film. Inside, the units are just empty concrete boxes. The dream was that this would be a bustling hub of commerce and community. A bakery here, a pharmacy there, a small cafe on the corner. But without residents, there can be no businesses. And without businesses and other amenities, who would want to become a resident? It's a classic chicken and egg problem, played out on a massive concrete scale. The primary issue here was infrastructure, or rather, the lack of it. The apartments were built, but the promised high-speed transport link to the city center was endlessly delayed due to budget cuts. The initial plan for a dedicated heating plant for the district was scrapped in favor of connecting to the city's already overstrained grid, a connection that proved technically far more complex and expensive than anticipated. So you have all these beautiful modern apartments, but with unreliable heating and a punishing hour-long commute by bus. It creates a strange paradox. The apartments are officially available, but the uptake has been almost non-existent. The state can't simply give them away, but they can't attract buyers or renters at the current price given the significant drawbacks. So the buildings sit here, in a state of suspended animation, slowly depreciating in value. The government faces a difficult choice: pour even more money into fixing the infrastructure problems, or cut its losses, and let this ghost district stand as a testament to poor execution. I managed to track down one of the project managers, who agreed to speak with me anonymously. He seemed burdened by it all. "We followed the plan," he said, his voice heavy. "The construction schedule was met. The buildings are high quality, but we were building the body, and someone else was supposed to provide the circulatory system. The roads, the heat, the lifeblood. It never came. We built a beautiful corpse. That image has stuck with me. A beautiful corpse. It's both poetic and chillingly accurate. You can see the small signs of the dilemma everywhere. The landscaping is starting to look a little ragged. The grass is a bit too long in places. Weeds are starting to poke through the immaculate paving stones. The cost of maintaining an empty district is not insignificant. Security guards patrol these silent streets, preventing vandalism. A skeleton crew of maintenance workers keeps the basic systems from falling into complete disrepair. It's money being spent every single day just to keep a failed project from looking like a failed project. Ultimately, this place is a monument to a specific kind of top-down planning that fails to account for messy human reality. An algorithm or a spreadsheet might tell you that X number of people need Y number of apartments. But people don't live on spreadsheets. They live in communities. They need to get to work. They need their children's schools to be warm. They need a place to buy bread and milk. When the plan ignores these fundamental human-level details, this is the result. An empty promise, stretching as far as the eye can see. There is something almost comically tragic about a half-built bridge. It's such a bold, declarative statement of intent. "We will cross this," it says. And when it stops, abruptly, in the middle of a river, it becomes an equally bold statement of failure. This was meant to be a key part of a new orbital motorway, designed to ease traffic congestion in the city of Mogilev. Today, it serves only as a very expensive pier for local fishermen, and a stark, concrete punchline to a long-running joke in the community. Public works projects are the skeleton of a nation's economy. Roads, bridges, railways, and power plants are what allow everything else to function. They are almost always state-funded, long-term investments in the future prosperity of a region. Because they are so visible and so fundamental, their failure is particularly galling. It's not just money wasted. It's a very public breakdown of a promise made by the state to its citizens. A promise to make their lives easier, their journeys faster, their commerce more efficient. The story of this particular bridge is a tangled web of revised economic forecasts and shifting political priorities. The project was greenlit during a period of relative economic optimism. But a few years into the build, a regional economic downturn hit. The projected traffic volumes that had justified the motorway's expense were suddenly revised downwards. At the same time, funds were urgently diverted to prop up a struggling local tractor factory, deemed more politically vital at the time. The bridge was the sacrificial lamb. I spoke with a woman who lives in a small village on the other side of the river. For her, the bridge wasn't an abstract economic calculation. It was a lifeline. It would have cut her journey to the city, for shopping and hospital visits, from 45 minutes down to 10. "We watched them build it," she told me, gesturing towards the concrete stump from her garden. "Every day, we saw it getting closer. It was so exciting. And then, one day, the workers just packed up and left. That was 5 years ago. Now, we just look at it. The economic impact ripples outwards. The land on the other side of the river, which had been zoned for light industrial development in anticipation of the new motorway link, remains fallow. Property values, which had risen in expectation of the new connection, have since collapsed. Businesses that were planning to expand or relocate have scrapped their plans. The failure of this one piece of infrastructure has had a chilling effect on the entire local economy, a cascade of missed opportunities. And it's not just grand projects like bridges. In a nearby region, I found a newly paved stretch of road that cuts through a forest for several kilometers before abruptly ending in a dirt track. It was the first phase of a planned route to connect two remote towns. The funding for phase 2 never materialized. So now, local teenagers use it for drag racing, and the occasional farmer uses it to dry grain. A piece of modern infrastructure, built at great expense, has been repurposed in ways the planners could never have imagined. The official explanations for these stalled projects are often cloaked in bureaucratic language, re-evaluation of strategic priorities, temporary suspension of financing, logistical reassessments. But for the communities directly affected, it's much simpler. The money ran out. The political will evaporated. They were forgotten. It breeds a sense of cynicism that is corrosive. When people see a half-built bridge every single day, it's hard for them to believe in the next grand promise. These projects become part of the local folklore. The bridge to nowhere, the road to the forest. They are given nicknames that are both affectionate and mocking. They are landmarks of failure. And as I stand here, looking at this colossal, pointless structure, I'm struck by the sheer physical weight of it. It's so solid, so permanent. It would take a huge amount of effort and money to dismantle it, and so it will likely remain here for decades. A silent, unmoving monument to a journey that was never completed. There's a difference between abandonment and emptiness. The silent factories felt like they were grieving for a life they never had. This place feels different. It's finished, it's spectacular, and it's almost entirely empty. This is the Minsk Arena, a state-of-the-art multi-sport complex. It's a stunning piece of architecture, a statement of national ambition and capability. But on a Tuesday afternoon like this, the only event happening is the sound of my own voice echoing in the cavernous space. It was built for roars, but it lives in whispers. This isn't a failure of construction, but a failure of conception. Or perhaps a failure of scale. The vision was grand, to create world-class facilities that would attract major international sporting events, concerts by global superstars, and become a hub of national sporting life. And to its credit, it has hosted some of these. The Ice Hockey World Championships were held here. A few big-name bands have played, but these events are the exception, not the rule. The daily reality of the building is this: a profound and expensive emptiness. The problem is that a structure of this size has colossal running costs. The heating, the lighting, the security, the maintenance, it all costs a fortune, whether there are 15,000 people inside or just one. To be financially viable, it needs to be in near constant use. But the local market simply isn't big enough to support that. There aren't enough local teams with a large enough following or a steady enough stream of international A-listers willing to make a stop in Minsk to keep the lights on. I looked at the events calendar for this month. There's a corporate conference, a regional junior figure skating competition, and a trade show for agricultural machinery. All worthy events, I'm sure, but they hardly require a 15,000-seat arena. You could fit all the attendees for that conference in one small section of seating. It feels like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. The facility is being underused, its potential squandered, while it quietly drains money from the state budget. It's a phenomenon I saw repeated elsewhere. I visited a newly built National Library, a building of incredible architectural invention, shaped like a rhombicuboctahedron. It's a genuine marvel to look at. But inside, the vast reading rooms were sparsely populated. The electronic catalog was impressive, but in an age where so much information is available online, the need for such a monumental physical repository of knowledge is, perhaps, a question worth asking. It felt more like a tourist attraction, a place to photograph, than a living, breathing library. These megastructures are often driven by something other than pure logic or demand. They are prestige projects. They are about putting your country on the map, about creating national symbols that project an image of modernity, strength, and sophistication. There's a very human and very political desire to say, look what we can build. The question that perhaps isn't asked forcefully enough is, but what will we do with it once it's built? A sociologist I spoke to called it architectural propaganda. The building itself is the message. Its purpose is to exist, to be seen and photographed. Its actual utility is a secondary concern. That feels a bit cynical, but standing here in this magnificent, echoing hall, it's hard to dismiss the idea entirely. This place feels more like a sculpture of an arena than a functioning one. It's a beautiful, incredibly detailed, and astronomically expensive sculpture. And so, the state is left with these white elephants, too prestigious to be allowed to fail, but too large to ever truly succeed. They are kept alive on a drip feed of public funds, hosting events that are too small for their scale, all while the PR machine continues to promote them as shining examples of national success. It's a strange performance, a play being put on in an empty theater, and the price of the ticket is paid by the public whether they attend or not. So, a silent factory, a ghost town, a bridge to nowhere, and a magnificent empty arena. They are all different stories, different flavors of failure. But as you zoom out, as you look at the map, you start to see that they aren't isolated incidents. They are symptoms of the same underlying condition. To understand why these projects fail, you have to look beyond the specifics of each one and examine the system that creates them. A system where, it seems, the blueprint itself might be flawed. One of the key factors is the heavily centralized, top-down nature of the economic planning. Many of these grand projects are conceived not at a local level, based on identified local needs, but in ministries in the capital. They are part of a grand national strategy. This can lead to a disconnect from the realities on the ground. A planner in an office can look at a map and decide a new suburb is needed here, or a factory is needed there, without fully appreciating the complex local web of transport, utilities, and labor markets. This central control is tied to the political system. In a state where power is concentrated, large-scale construction projects become a powerful tool. They are a very visible way for the government to demonstrate its effectiveness and deliver progress. A groundbreaking ceremony is great PR. A ribbon cutting is a perfect photo opportunity. The long, difficult, and often boring process of actually making the project viable and sustainable is less glamorous and receives far less attention. The political incentive is to build, not necessarily to ensure success. Then there's the question of money. Belarus's economy has often been propped up by favorable loans and energy prices from its powerful neighbor Russia. This has, at times, created a sense of having access to easy money, encouraging a wave of ambitious spending. But when political winds shift or energy prices change, that stream of funding can slow to a trickle. Projects that seemed viable when the money was flowing freely are suddenly left high and dry, halfway to completion. The half-built bridge is a perfect monument to this dependency. There's also an issue of accountability, or the lack thereof. When a private company invests in a massive project and it fails, heads roll. Investors lose their money, executives are fired. The feedback is brutal and immediate, but when a state-funded project fails, the consequences are more diffuse. The money comes from the general state budget, and it's often difficult to pinpoint who exactly is to blame. Was it the planning ministry, the finance ministry, the regional governor? This ambiguity can create an environment where billion-dollar mistakes are made with few personal consequences. I found a retired economist who had worked within the state planning apparatus for decades. He spoke of a culture where questioning a major top-level initiative was career suicide. Once the order came down to build, he explained, our job was to figure out how to do it, not to ask if we should. The momentum was everything. To raise objections was to be seen as obstructive, as disloyal. This pressure to demonstrate progress and agree with the plan, regardless of its merits, is a recipe for disaster. This isn't to say that every major project in Belarus is a failure. Far from it. There are many examples of successful developments and infrastructure that serve their communities well. But the sheer scale and number of the failures suggest a systemic problem. It's a system that prioritizes the grand gesture over the practical detail, the political statement over the economic reality, and the act of starting over the responsibility of finishing. And so, the landscape becomes dotted with these monuments. They aren't just financial black holes. They are a drain on the national psyche. They represent a broken trust between the state and its people. Each empty apartment block and silent factory is a physical manifestation of a promise that wasn't kept. And as I trace the lines between them on this map, it's not a roadmap I see, but a diagram of dysfunction. Standing here as the day ends, you can really feel the weight of these places. Not just the physical weight of all this concrete and steel, but a heavier, more intangible weight. The weight of miscalculation, of wasted potential, of dreams left to rust in the rain. These projects weren't built to be ruins. They were born from ambition, from a desire to build a better, more prosperous future. And it's that gap, the chasm between the noble intention and the desolate reality, that makes them so fascinating and so profoundly melancholic. They are a powerful reminder that building is the easy part. The true challenge lies in creating something that lives and breathes, that integrates into the fabric of a community and serves a genuine need. Without that vital connection to people, without a sustainable purpose, even the most impressive structure is just a hollow shell, a monument to nothing. Each project I visited told its own story, but the moral was always the same. A plan is only as good as its connection to the real world. Ultimately, these buildings and bridges are more than just economic failures. They are part of the Belarusian story, a chapter written in rebar and decay. They ask difficult questions about power, planning, and the promises that nations make to their citizens. They are a silent, sprawling, and very expensive lesson in the difference between vision and vanity. And as long as they stand, they will continue to tell that story to anyone who is willing to stop and listen to the silence. Which of these failed projects shocked you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments.